The Indianapolis 500 is the most important event in American motorsports. The 2011 race celebrated its centennial anniversary, and the on-track competition did not disappoint. Over 199 laps, the audience witnessed everything: overtakes, pit stop errors, accidents, and numerous changes in leadership. The icing on the cake came towards the end. After relying on a bold strategy, a rookie was about to win the race when the unbelievable happened. That final lap placed the 2011 race in the hall of the most thrilling races in Speedway history. The 2011 Indianapolis 500 was a bit different from the previous years. The 95th edition of the event had the start scheduled for noon, an hour earlier than usual. The race that year marked the 100th anniversary of the event, and a series of celebratory events took place throughout May until race day. In terms of rules, it was determined that restarts would be done in double row instead of single row. During initial and subsequent restarts, passing ahead of the starting line was permitted as long as the green flag had been waved. 79 cars and 41 drivers were entered for the race, participating in traditional practice and qualifying sessions throughout the month. Alex Tagliani of Sam Schmidt Motorsports secured pole position with an average speed of 227.472 miles per hour. Right behind were Scott Dixon of Chip Ganassi, and closing the first row, Spanish driver Oriol Servia of Newman Haas. The second row featured Tagliani's teammate Townsend Bell, Will Power with Penske, and Dan Wheldon with Brian Herta Autosport. Among the top 10 were also Buddy Rice, Ed Carpenter, Dario Franchitti, and Takuma Sato. On race day, May 29, 2011, the sky was clear with no expectation of rain. As part of the celebration for the 500-mile anniversary, all 269 living veteran drivers at the time were invited, with 161 attending in person at the Speedway during the week. After the traditional pace laps, the race started, and Dixon overtook Tagliani for the lead in the first meters. A few laps later, the Canadian regained the lead, while Servia, Bell, Wheldon, and Franchitti battled just behind. The race ran smoothly until the 21st lap when Takuma Sato crashed. With the yellow flag, the drivers took advantage to make their first stops. With so many cars entering and leaving the pit lane, Will Power's Penske was released with a loose wheel. The driver had to complete a full lap to return to the pits, virtually eliminating his chances of victory. Shortly after the restart, another accident interrupted the action. Sato's teammate, E.J. Viso, was touched by James Hinchcliffe's Newman Haas, ending up in the wall at turn 1. The accident brought out the yellow flag until lap 34, when the race could truly resume. Most drivers maintained their positions, except for Simona de Silvestro. The driver still felt the consequences of an accident earlier in the month and couldn't find the rhythm in the pack. Unable to continue, Silvestro retired from the race. Meanwhile, the leader lost performance and 3 positions. Dixon regained the lead with Franchitti in second and Wheldon in third. A new round of pit stops started around lap 58, and while some drivers made their stops, another car lost a wheel. Rookie Jay Howard lost one of the rear wheels and ended up crashing, bringing out the yellow flag again. The race restarted on lap 71 with Franchitti in the lead, Dixon in second, Tagliani in third, and Wheldon in fourth. 2 laps later, Dixon again took the lead and held onto it. The top 4 were setting a strong pace, followed relatively closely by Townsend Bell. The rest formed a second, more distant pack led by Servia. Behind, Ryan Hunter-Reay lost performance with A.J. Foyt's car and was overtaken by several drivers, dropping to 24th. As the race reached its halfway point, another rookie, James Hinchcliffe, lost control in turn 3 and crashed. By this time, several drivers had already made their stops, including those from the front pack. The yellow flag period was very short, and by lap 108, the cars were accelerating again. This caused the pack to be quite shuffled, resulting in several overtakes as soon as the green flag was waved. Franchitti led the race, followed by Servia, Marco Andretti, Ed Carpenter, Dixon, and Wheldon in the top 5. 12 laps later, the Spaniard utilized the slipstream from Franchitti and executed the overtake, taking the lead. Meanwhile, Charlie Kimball and Danica Patrick were maintaining a solid pace, working their way through the middle of the pack after starting from the rear. At the front, the top 2 drivers swapped positions again on lap 137, both heading to the pits. Although Dixon faced delays during his pit stop, it didn't significantly affect his performance. Following the latest series of pit stops, the leading order remained unchanged, with Franchitti, Servia, Dixon, Andretti making a presence in the competition, and Wheldon securing the top 5 positions. The tranquility of the race was interrupted on lap 148 when pole sitter Tagliani lightly hit the wall. The impact wasn't strong enough to destroy the car, but the front suspension broke, taking the driver out of the race. The cars accelerated again on lap 156, but 2 laps later, another accident halted the race. Ryan Briscoe and Townsend Bell collided and went into the wall at turn 1. At the same time, Brazilian Helio Castroneves lost one of the wheels, and his chances of victory also ended. At this moment, some drivers took advantage of the yellow flag and made their stops, hoping to finish the race without needing to stop again. Among them were Franchitti and rookie J.R.Hildebrand of Panther. With the restart on lap 166, Graham Rahal led the race, followed by Servia, Dixon, Thomas Scheckter, Tony Kanaan, and Wheldon. The first lead of Graham's career ended 6 laps later when Dixon regained the lead. Kanaan also pressed up front, and by lap 172, he was already in second. With 21 laps to go, the front drivers needed to make their final stops, and Danica Patrick inherited the lead. In second place, Belgian Bertrand Baguette unexpectedly appeared in the front pack and reduced the gap against Danica lap after lap. With 12 laps to go, the driver managed to overtake and took the lead. With little time left in the race, the fight for victory became dramatic. Danica entered the pits for her final stop, leaving the battle between Baguette, Franchitti, and Hildebrand. All 3 were low on fuel, so a pace too fast could condemn the race for all. 3 laps from the end, Baguette gave up the fight and went to the pits for a splash and go. The lead fell into Hildebrand's lap, who had a considerable advantage over Franchitti. The Scottish driver had already slowed down and was losing positions while trying to save fuel. Just when everything seemed to indicate that a rookie would win the 500 miles, the tragedy struck. Entering turn 4, Hildebrand had to avoid Charlie Kimball's slower car, which occupied the inside line of the turn. In the maneuver, the driver lost grip and hit the exit wall. The car bounced back onto the track and hit the wall again, sliding to the finish line. Dan Wheldon, who was in second, passed by Hildebrand's destroyed car and grabbed the victory. Given the speed he had, Panther's destroyed car still managed to cross the finish line in second. The top 10 also included Rahal, Kanaan in 4th, Dixon, Servia, Baguette in a commendable 7th place, Scheckter, Marco Andretti, and Danica in 10th. That was Wheldon's second and final victory at the Brickyard after 2 years of near wins. The situation was so unusual that the driver led only 1 lap in the race, the last one. Shortly after the race, the Panther team considered filing a complaint, claiming that Wheldon's overtake on Hildebrand was illegal due to the yellow flag from the accident. In the end, it was proven that the yellow flag was given only after the overtake, and even if there had been signaling, Wheldon could have overtaken, as Hildebrand's car was damaged. The driver's victory took on emblematic significance at the end of the year. Wheldon passed away after a major accident in the season's final race in Las Vegas, where he was a guest. Thus, the triumph in Indianapolis became his last career victory. Hildebrand never had a similar chance again. In the following years, the driver raced for smaller teams, achieving at most a 3rd position in 2017. If you enjoyed the video and want more information about Formula 1, IndyCar, and others, subscribe to the channel. Questions, suggestions, or tips are always welcome. Leave them in the comments below. Until next time.